waking up. Cool. All right. We are meditating outside again because it's so nice today. So we'll go ahead and proceed with our 30-minute meditation, and then do our 30-minute sutra study tonight. So we'll proceed with meditation.
All right, cool. Thank you.
concludes our meditation. So we're gonna take a couple minutes to go inside for the Sutra study. So um we'll unmute in a couple minutes and start reading. All right. And we'll continue on where we left off last time, reading the Shrangama Sutra. We are on page 135. Purnamaitrayani Putra, because you cling to form and space that displace each other in the Tathagata store, the latter, in accordance with your karma, manifests as space and form which pervade the whole Dharma realm. As a result, there appear within it the blowing wind, still voidness, a bright sun, and dark clouds. Due to their delusion and perplexity, living beings turn their backs on Bodhi and cling to sense objects, thereby giving rise to troubles, with the resultant appearance of illusory forms.
My uncreate and unending profound enlightenment accords with the Tathagata store, which is absolute Bodhi, and ensures my perfect insight into the Dharma realm, where the one is infinite and the infinite is one, where the large manifests in the small and vice versa, where the immovable Bodhi mandala appears everywhere, where my body embraces the 10 directions of inexhaustible space, where the kingdom of treasures appears on the tip of a hair, and where I sit in a speck of dust to turn the wheel of the Dharma. As I have wiped out all illusory objects of senses to accord with Bodhi, I have realized the nature of the absolute enlightenment of the Bhutatata.
The fundamental, absolute, and perfect mind of the Tathagata store is neither mind nor the elements of space, earth, water, wind, and fire, neither eye nor ear, nose, tongue, body, nor intellect, neither form nor sound, smell, taste, touch, nor idea, neither the field of sight perception nor the other fields of sense including that of intellect, neither enlightenment nor unenlightenment, nor the other links in the chain of existence including old age and death, neither the end of enlightenment nor that of unenlightenment, nor that of the other links, neither misery nor accumulation of misery, extinction of passion, and their path thereto, neither wisdom nor gain, neither charity nor discipline, neither zeal, patience, meditation, wisdom, nor perfection, and even neither Tathagata, Arhat, Samyak Sambodhi, Parinirvana, nor eternity, bliss, self, and purity.
Thus, the basic enlightened mind of the Tathagata store, being neither mundane nor supramundane, is wonderful in that it is identical with mind and space, earth, water, wind, and fire, with eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and intellect, with form, sound, smell, taste, touch, and ideas, with the field of eye perception and all other fields before and including that of intellect, with enlightenment, unenlightenment, and the other links in the chain of existence before and including old age and death, with the end of enlightenment, unenlightenment, and of the other links, with misery and its accumulation, with the extinction of passions, and the path thereto, with dana, sila, virya, kasanti, dhyana, prajna, and paramita, and also with Tathagata, arhat, samyak, sambodhi, parinirvana, true eternity, bliss, self, and purity.
Thus, the principle of absolute enlightened mind of the Tathagata store, being identical with and both the mundane and supramundane, is above is and is not, and beyond both identity and difference. How, therefore, can worldly beings of the three realms of existence and in the supramundane Sravaka and Pratyeka Buddha states fathom the Tathagata supreme Bodhi and penetrate the Buddha wisdom by word and speech? For instance, though a lute can make a sweet melody, it is useless in the absence of skillful fingers. It is the same with you and all living beings, for although the true mind of precious Bodhi is complete within every man, when I press my finger on it, the ocean symbol radiates, but as soon as your mind moves, all troubles arise. This is due to your remissness in your search for Supreme Bodhi, in your delight in Hinayana, and your contentment with the little progress which you regard as complete.
Purnamaitrayani Putra said, the Buddha and I possess the true, absolute, and clean minds of complete enlightenment, which are the same and wholly perfect. But why, after so many transmigrations, due to my delusion from the time without beginning, and after my present attainment of the saintly vehicle, am I still unable to realize the ultimate, whereas the world honored one has eliminated all falseness and has realized absolute permanence? I beg to ask the Tathagata what causes the delusion that screens living beings from their profound enlightenment and so subjects them to their present perdition.
The Buddha replied, although you have wiped out your troubles, traces of your defilements still remain. I will now put some worldly questions to you. Have you not heard of Yajnadatta of Sravasti, who would look into a mirror and delight in seeing his eyebrows and eyes? But when one morning he failed to see them in his own head, he thought himself bedeviled. Do you think there was any valid reason for such madness?
Purnamaitrayani Putra replied, there was no valid reason. The Buddha said, the absolute Bodhi is basically enlightened and absolute. When it is called false, how can there be a real cause this delusion? For if there is a real reason, how can it be called false? All this arises from wrong thinking, which develops into further wrong thinking. When one falseness is heaped on another, in spite of the teachings by Buddhas in countless former aeons, you are still unable to avoid delusion. Its causes are also under delusion, but if you realize that it has none, falseness will have no support. Since delusion was never created, what is there to destroy to realize Bodhi?
This is like a man who, when awake, relates what he saw in a dream. He may be ingenious, but what can he get from it? Still less can he benefit from a state which does not derive from any cause and does not really exist. like Yajnadatta, who, without reason, took fright at not seeing his own head. If he suddenly ceased to be crazy, his head would not come from elsewhere, and even if he was still mad, it was not really lost. Purna Maitrayani Putra, since this is the nature of falseness, where is its cause? If you will only cease to discriminate and to believe in the if you will only cease to discriminate and to believe in the universe, karmic retribution, and living beings, the three conditions will come to an end. Without these conditions, the three causes will not arise, and, as with mad Yajnadatta, the mad nature of your own mind will come to an end, and when it does, that is enlightenment. Thus, your unexcelled, pure, and enlightened mind, which essentially pervades the Dharma realm, does not come from outside. How can it be realized by toilsome and profound practice and by achievement? This is like a man with a Sintamani pearl sewn in his coat, who forgets all about it. He thinks he is really poor and wanders about begging for food. Although he is poor, his pearl has never been lost. If a wise man suddenly tells him that it is in his coat, all his wishes will be answered and he will become very rich. He will thus realize that his wonderful gem does not come from outside.
Ananda then came forward, prostrated himself with his head at the feet of the Buddha, stood up and asked. The world-honored one now speaks of eliminating the three conditions of killing, stealing, and carnality, to ensure that the three basic causes do not arise, and so to stop the upsurge of Yajnadatta's madness and realize Bodhi, which thus does not come from outside. This, without a shadow of doubt, shows the causes and conditions, but why does the Tathagata throw them away completely? It is also due to causes and conditions that my mind has opened. World-honored one, I am not the only here who, though still needing study and learning, has so awakened, but others in this assembly, like Maud Galyayana, Sariputra, Subhuti, etc., who followed the Brahmacharin, heard of the Buddha's teaching on causes and conditions, then awakened to the Dharma and achieved the state beyond transmigration. If you now say that Bodhi does not depend on causes and conditions, then the self-existent, as preached by the heretics in Rajagurha, such as Maskari, Gosali-Putra, and others, would be nirvana. Will you be so compassionate enough to enlighten my delusion and perplexity?
Buddha said, Ananda, in the case of Yajnadatta, if the cause and condition of his madness had been wiped out, his own nature, which was not mad, would have revealed itself. And whatever you may rationalize about cause, condition, and self-existence, does not go beyond this. Ananda, if Yajnadatta's head had basically been self-existent, it should always have been so, and could not have been otherwise. What then were the cause and condition that resulted in his taking fright and going mad?
If his self-existent head became mad, owing to cause and condition, why was it not lost? But when he took fright and went mad, why was it still there unchanged? Thus, how could cause and condition affect his head?
If his madness was self-existent, it should always have been there. But before he became mad, where was it hidden? If his madness was not self-existent, and there was nothing seriously wrong with his head, why did he go mad? If you realize that his fundamental head was intact, you will know that his consciousness became mad, and will realize that to talk of cause, condition, and self-existence is frivolous.
This is why I say that if the three conditions are eliminated, this is Bodhi mind. Bodhi mind is created after the samsaric mind has been annihilated, pertains to samsara. Even after the ideas of both creation and destruction have been abandoned, with no more thought of practice and realization, if the self-existence remains, this shows clearly that the death of the worldly has given birth to the self-existent mind, which also pertains to samsara with its implied opposite, self-existence. This is like the mixture and fusion of various worldly materials into a composite compound, which implies its opposite, the uncompounded. The absolute, which is neither original nor unoriginal, neither mixed and united, nor not mixed and not united, and neither apart nor not apart from union and separation, is above and beyond all sophistry.
Bodhi and nirvana are still very far away and cannot be attained without aeons of practice and experience. Even if you succeed in memorizing the 12 divisions of the Mahayana canon taught by all the Buddhas, and the profound and perfect doctrines countless as the Ganges sands, this will only increase sophistry. Although you speak of cause, condition, and self-existence as if you are very clear about them, and in spite of the people calling you the first of those with a wide knowledge, with its beneficial influence for aeons past, you have been unable to avoid the pit into which Matangi fell. Why have you waited to be rescued from it by my Shurangama mantra, which caused the girl to extinguish the fire of lust completely, to realize the state of anagaman, and to enter the dense forest of zeal and devotion? As the river of love dried up, you were delivered from bondage.
Therefore, Ananda, your memorizing and remembering the Tathagata's profound and wonderful teaching for successive aeons cannot compare with one day's practice of the transcendental path, which has enabled you to avoid suffering from both love and hate. Matangi was a prostitute, but she gave up lust and desire with the aid of the mantra, thereby becoming a bhikkhuni, called self-nature in this assembly. Both she and Yasodhara, the mother of Rahula, awoke to sufferings caused by desire and love in their previous lives, and in a flash of thought practiced the transcendental way. One was freed from bonds, and the other received prediction of her future enlightenment. Why do you still deceive yourself by clinging to what you see and hear?
After hearing the Buddha's teaching, Ananda and the assembly, now rid of doubt and illusion, awoke to reality and felt a lightness of body and mind which they had never experienced before. Ananda again wept, prostrated himself with his head at the feet of the Buddha, knelt down, brought his palms together, and said, O peerless, compassionate, and immaculate King of treasures, you have opened my mind so well by using all kinds of expedients and encouragement to lead me out of darkness in the ocean of suffering. World-honored one, after hearing your Dharma voice, although I have realized that the bright mind of absolute Bodhi of the Tathagata store pervades the 10 directions to bring all the lands therein to the pure and majestic kingdom of the absolute enlightenment, the Buddha again blames my useless knowledge acquired by listening, which cannot compare with true practice and training. I am like a traveler who is suddenly given by the King of Heaven a splendid mansion, which now that he owns it, he should know how to enter. May the Tathagata not forsake his great compassion, and may he teach all the deluded in this assembly how to give up the small vehicle and how to develop their minds in order to attain to ultimate nirvana, so that those who still need study and learning may know how to overcome their clinging to causal phenomena in order to achieve perfect control and enter the Buddha's all wisdom.
After saying this, he prostrated himself and reverently awaited the holy teaching. The Buddha took pity on the Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas in the assembly, whose minds set on enlightenment were still not at ease, and on future living beings in the Dharma ending age, who will want to develop their Bodhi minds and to tread the path of the Supreme Vehicle. He said to Ananda and the assembly, as you are determined to develop the Bodhi mind and practice the Tathagata Samadhi tirelessly, you should first ascertain the 2 decisive factors in the development of your mind. What are they?
Ananda, as you decide to give up the state of Sravaka to practice with the Bodhisattva vehicle in order to possess the Buddha's all wisdom, you should see clearly if the cause ground, a point, hold on. You should see clearly if the cause ground, a point of departure, and its fruit ground are compatible or not. Ananda, if you use your worldly mind as a causal point of departure, you will fail in your search for the Buddha vehicle, which is beyond birth and death. Therefore, you should inquire into all the creations, which in this material world are subject to change and destruction. Ananda, which one of them does not decay? Yet you have never heard that space can perish. Why? Because it is not a created thing.
In your body, that which is solid is the element of earth. That which is liquid is the element of water. That which is warm is the element of fire. And that which moves is the element of wind. These 4 restraining elements divide your pure, perfect, absolute, and enlightened Bodhi into seeing, hearing, knowing, and discerning. Hence the 5 turbid conditions from the beginning to the end.
What is turbidity? Ananda, take for instance clear water, which is so by nature, and dust, earth, ashes, and sand, which are obstructive by nature. If someone throws earth and dust into clear water, the former will lose their obstructive qualities, and the latter its clearness. The result is dirty water, which is called turbid. Your 5 turbid conditions are like that dirty water.
Ananda, when you see space in the 10 directions, your perception and the void are inseparable. And since the void is bodiless and your perception unenlightened, both unite into one falseness, which is the first layer, called turbid kalpa. Your body is made of 4 elements, which limit your mind and divide it into seeing, hearing, feeling, and knowing. The union of water, fire, wind, and earth with your feeling and knowing begets another falseness, which is the second layer called turbid views.
Your recollection and habits give rise to intellection. which responds to the sixth sense data. This intellect has no independent form apart from these objects of sense, and is devoid of nature apart from perception. It unites with sense data to become another falseness, which is the third layer called turbid passions.
In the endless rise and fall of illusions, in samsara, your intellect is intent on staying in the world, whereas your karma forces you to transmigrate from place to place. They thus unite into another falseness, which is the fourth layer, called turbid being.
Fundamentally, your seeing and hearing are by nature the same, but being limited by sense data, they degenerate into two separate faculties. They are aware of each other within their nature, but differ in their functions. As a result, they are upside down and unite into another falseness, which is a fifth layer called turbid life.
Ananda, if you wish to bring your seeing, hearing, feeling, and knowing into line with the Tathagata's absolute eternity, bliss, self, and purity, you should first pick out the root of birth and death, and turn its worldly falseness back to its unworldly, profound nature until it is subdued and reverts to basic bodhi. And then use this pure nature as the causal mind ground to perfect your practice and realization of the fruit ground.
This is like purifying muddy water in a clean container. Left unshaken in complete calmness, the sand and mud will sink to the bottom. When the clear water appears, this is called the first suppression of the intruding evil element of passion. When the mud has been removed, leaving behind only clear water, this is called the permanent cutting off of basic ignorance. Enlightenment is unmixed, and its manifestations are not of the nature of klesa, but are in accord with the immaculate virtues of nirvana. All right, I think this is a good stopping point for today. Nice.
Yeah, good stuff.
All right. Did anyone want to talk about anything we read or any comments before we conclude the evening? All right. I'll save our stopping point, and we'll see you on Sunday.
Yeah.
Thank you for attending.
Thanks, everybody.
And then, actually, I did want to say one more thing for YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube and you have questions about what we just reviewed, please feel free to contact us. Our contact information is available on our YouTube main page. So if you're watching this after the fact, don't hesitate to reach out with questions. So that is all. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.